A robot with a fish head? Can this go wrong? Yeah, welcome to Streaming Deluxe, my friends. My name is still Mr. Orange and the name of the game is Feudal Alloy. So it's indie action RPG Metroidvania adventure game developed by Untitled Games and published by the same, and the release date was on the 17th January 2019, so quite fresh, I would say. Alright, so the price at the moment on Steam is 15 euros. You find a link under the description of this video. And on the Steam store page, the game is explained as Feudal Alloy is an epic adventure with fish-controlled medieval robots. Explore an unusual medieval world with a fish-controlled robot, Atu, so that's the name of this little dude there. Improve your combat techniques and skills by smashing many kinds of mechanical creatures in a beautiful hand-drawn world. And the world is indeed beautiful and hand-drawn. So I really much enjoyed this. So at the moment all over reviews on Steam are mixed. I say it immediately here, I think it's a cool game, I think it's a game that I can recommend and I'm definitely going to play much more. It's a bit difficult at the moment or in the beginning when you start, but then yeah, the controls, the graphics, the style, the atmosphere, it just all works out for me. It's just an interesting game. I have to admit I was not playing through it yet, so I don't know if it's getting maybe a bit less good later on, but the first hour was extremely fun and extremely nice to play, so I can definitely recommend this. If you have any doubts, so of course always look out for a sale, my friends. Okay, some more information about the Feudal Alloy. So it has, what are the features of this game? Due to the developers, it's the fish-controlled medieval robots, yeah indeed it is. A dynamic action combat system with swords, grenades, dodges and other special attacks. So yeah, it's the combat, it's like in a classical platformer. And then they say a lot of different equipment that changes both player appearance and attributes. Then a huge interconnected world to explore, filled with a wide range of enemies, so that's the Metroidvania aspect of this game. And varied hand-drawn environments, loot. Yeah, there's a lot of loot, so look at this. I mean, it looks really pretty, and you play with the Xbox controller, and this really works fine. And the enemies are fun, and it's very nice. It's very nicely made, so especially if you look here, the hand-drawn, it's pretty cool, and the robot is cool. It just makes fun to control it. And also then you have this two mechanic with a heat meter, and if a robot gets too hot you have to cool it down, so that's also a nice feature. Alright, so maybe we have a short look what other people say, because my opinion is my opinion, and it's always better to have different opinions when it comes to the quality of a game. So the cockatrice guy on Steam, he was giving it a negative, so he was a thumbs down. And he writes, the gist of it, Feudal Alloy is a game that sounds like an amazing idea on paper, but sadly due to many issues it fails to provide us with an enjoyable experience and outcome upon completion. For the good parts, he says the map design is well done, combat is tight and fluid, plenty of unique sets of armor, and I absolutely agree to this. And now he comes to the bad parts. He says the soundtrack is extremely repetitive and uninteresting. It is uninteresting, I agree on this point. So the atmosphere and background design are extremely lackluster and boring to look at. Oh, I like this actually, so I'm not agreeing with this, but I didn't play so much as he did yet. Then he says only 2 boss fights and both of them are dull. Besides the damage stat, the rest have minimal impact on the gameplay, might be a bug. And then personal preferences, however, I felt very short for what I expected. And then he says also no real story, no lore, just find the stolen goods and the end. And then also as a negative point, backtracking and finding secrets offer no joy whatsoever, as you'd expect from a Metroidvania unless you're an achievement hunter. Maybe let's see what he writes about the gameplay. The only thing that kept me going was the actual combat. It is well designed and it feels good to hit or be hit. It's a Metroidvania basically as you'd expect. You will traverse a series of interconnected levels filled with a small variety of enemies and some platforming. There are basic upgrades that you will unlock throughout the game, which will help unlock new areas or secrets as well as ease the platforming. You can also level up your character, which will boost your stats. Sadly, most stats either did not work as intended or have very little impact on the gameplay, and the only true stat that I felt changed something that was the damage increase. You can also boost these stats by purchasing armor. So the difficulty is average, not too hard but not too easy either. Some enemies can get rather annoying, but since their variety is pretty much very low, you'll get used to their attack patterns immediately. Some enemies can only be dispatched with specific types of grenades like ice or fire, for example. Boss fights are probably the most insulting thing about the game, a genre which you'd expect some cool epic boss fights. Sadly, just those add you to pathetic bosses in which you basically have to dodge some simple attacks and kill some spawning enemies, climb their limbs and attack their head. That's it. There are some mini areas in which the game blocks your path and starts spawning a variety of enemies at you, and they are all the same. Instead of having this repetitive arena thing, they could have spent a few more days to design some mini bosses. Alright, so in conclusion he says, the more I thought about the game after finishing it, the more I hated it. Good combat cannot save a game from its many issues that range from the overall design to its repetitive nature and lack of story. Feudal alloy, while the first few hours are decent, the more you play the duller it becomes. I will not recommend the game as at its full price unless you're very desperate for a Metroidvania experience and it can overlook many negative aspects. I have to say it's an extremely well written, good review, so thank you the Cockatrice, you made a very good review and you have interesting good points, but I would overall my gut feelings and what I played so far would tell me that it's a game I can recommend, since I see there's a lot of love in the game, and giving a negative is, in my personal opinion, a bit too harsh. One Eye Dalton writes, Metroidvania graphics, design, gameplay, fish controlled medieval robots is good, music map is a bit chaotic, thumbs up. Then another positive review, American Tragedy. He writes, Feudal Alloy is a funny action adventure with Metroidvania elements that features a mechanical medieval robot with a fish tank instead of his head. In this game the player has to explore this unique world to help the main character Atu to protect his village and fight the outlaws who stole their oil and burned down their place. As pro, he says, action combat based, interesting mechanics with overheating, the mechanical robot, good variety of different equipment that looks nice visually, the funny visual art style, a lot of things to explore with interconnected locations, good amount of enemies, pretty decent hand-drawn backgrounds, collectibles to find and hidden secrets that add excitement to your exploration. As a negative, he says the variety of locations could be much richer. The player has to unlock some of the basic movements, very annoying and repetitive. The same song on the background can be pretty difficult at the start for casual players. Okay, what are the points here? I mean, that's also something that I say. Okay, I mean, yeah, the story, a lot of people complain about the sound, so then I would say, okay, we can patch some other music into it. We can turn off the music and listen to our own music, of course. Then I would say it's a bit difficult in the beginning. Okay, they have to do something against this. They have to make it maybe a little bit less difficult in the beginning. This can also be updated and patched in. Okay, then we have already 2 negative points away. And I would say then the game could be much better. But yeah, you cannot change now the graphics and you cannot change the enemies. Maybe you can implement the one or the other boss fight. I would say this is possible, but on the other hand, it's not an early access game, and since it's not an early access game, I doubt the developers are going to change this over the course of time. Alright, so another Sven Evil writes, such a nice surprise. There are still some really good games that appear in the flood of shovelware on Steam, and I absolutely agree. This is a nice game, and it looked immediately appealing to me, and I had fun playing it. So this is definitely one of them, Sven Evil writes. A highly polished Metroidvania game, innovative and funny setting with fish-powered robots during the Middle Ages, also common with tight controls, really good inventory and upgrade system with lots of things you acquire. Beautiful graphics, a very pleasant storytelling voice. Controller support, no glitches, no awful translation, no technical problems, so highly recommended to all fans of the genre. Then Tan Master, right? Simple but charming hand-drawn art style, unlocking of several new abilities and equipment throughout all the adventure, keeping the gameplay fresh, decently made, classic Metroidvania style combat system, plenty of secret areas and lock path unlockable when more powers are acquired later on, different skill trees with passive abilities, allowing custom characters built to suit different playstyles, good pacing in the app, alternation of platforming and combat. And I'm leaving it here now with those reviews on Steam. I always like to talk a little bit about them because they give the best picture of the game, so that you not only just rely on my opinion. I would say it's a mixed bag for Steam reviews, but I would say overall it's a game that I recommend. I had a lot of fun for the time I played. I definitely going to play it a bit more when I have time, of course, since I have a lot of games on my backlog. And I would say it's definitely a closer look for Metroidvania style games of France, and I would also say for people that like games like Dark Souls and like 2D games in general, they should definitely take a closer look at this game. Maybe the price with 15 euros is at the moment a bit high for such kind of a game, so maybe you should wait for a sale, but then this game is definitely worth a closer look. And I'm leaving it here, my friends, so that you can enjoy the rest of the video without me talking, and leave me a commentary in the under this video and give me a thumbs up and follow my channel. I would be thrilled, and I love the engagement with the community. So my friends, I wish you a pleasant day. See you!